mindset cafe, we all got that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Yeah,
What is up, guys? What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy Devin, and we got our Friday Night Live co-host Nicholas.
What up?
And so, give me 1 sec while we fix this technical difficulty. You know, because it wouldn't be fun if there wasn't technical difficulties. But I think we should be good now. But today's episode is the Hedonic Treadmill, right? Breaking free of adaptations. And I don't know why this one is still not. There we go. There we go. The Hedonic Treadmill, breaking free of adaptations, right? So in this episode, we are going to talk about that. Nick, what does hedonic mean? I'm just kidding. I'm going to under the bus like that. I'm not even gonna lie, like trying to get creative with the titles and everything like that. Like I was looking up just a little more complex words, and I was like, that looks like a cool word. But essentially, on this episode, come on, bro, turn your shit off. On this episode, this is what happens when you do a live episode. You know, you get some of the wackos and then that want to cross by the gym. The hedonic treadmill is, you know, the human tendency to quickly adapt to new achievements or changes, essentially. So basically, the thrills fade and happiness kind of returns to its baseline, right? And so breaking free of the adaptations in like this episode, we're going to recognize, you know, why are you hitting your next business milestone or your fitness goal? And then once you hit that goal, it kind of leaves you wanting more, as in like, this was it, you know? And so all of a sudden you're happy you hit the baseline, or you're happy you hit the goal, and then all of a sudden it's just like you felt like you felt before, and it's like there's no thrill, there's no excitement, there's no chase anymore, right? So we're going to discuss that and how the hedonic adaptation can, in other words, rob you of your lasting satisfaction. But more importantly, we're going to share some motivational and research-backed strategies to break you out of this cycle. I want you guys to learn some mindful mindset tips, you know, and I think that both of us are going to be able to provide you guys with some strategies and some tools and stuff like that to really overcome this obstacle and get you off of this treadmill and onto the real treadmill.
The Stairmaster.
The treadmill to Gainesville.
Or the Stairmaster.
Or the Stairmaster. Why the Stairmaster?
Because it's on an incline.
Because you like doing the Stairmaster where, you know, you step up and you kick your butt back. I know that's you. Putting the little leg straps on and you know, your little glute kickbacks every other step.
With a booty band, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's dive in a little bit. And this one, I want you guys to, you know, throw in your comments, throw in your stuff. We've generated we put together some cool questions and engagement things. So make sure you guys fucking engage, right? Otherwise, what's the point of a live episode? We could just do this shit and record it and post it for you guys later on, right? But we want you guys to engage. So, Nick, do you want to hit them with the first engagement question real quick?
I do. Okay. So, first thing is, can you recall a time where you achieved a big goal and then thought to yourself, is this it? Was it, and what was it, and how did you feel afterwards?
Say it one more time.
All right.
I'm
gonna say it back. Can you recall a time when you achieved a big goal and then you thought to yourself, is this it? Well, what was it, and how did you feel afterwards?
What about you? Like if you were in the comments, like the commenter should be, what would your answer be?
Man, that's a hard one, just because
it is a hard one, but that's why it's hard for the other people too.
Yeah, I mean, it is a hard one in the sense that if I actually, if my genuine answer would be, if when I did hit a big goal, oh, actually, my answer right now is different from my answer back then.
What is your answer right now?
Right now, like when I reach a big goal or when I achieve something, you know, I do think like, oh, is this it? Like to like very to a very quick moment, like, you know, is this it? Like sit there and analyze, like, you know, the feeling and like the benefits that I'm getting from me achieving the goal. But then my next thought right after that too is, you know, one, like how can I excel this moment, or are there other avenues that I can, you know, within this goal that I'm reaching that I can maximize more, or something that I can broaden this win on, you know. So at least those are my thought processes at the moment, where it's when I think, you know, when I achieve a goal, a big goal, or hit a milestone or something like that, where I don't necessarily kind of downplay it or think like, oh, is this it? And like, it's not what it played out to be. You know, it's like, what, you know, did I hit it to the fullest extent? And or like, you know, what's next? You know, I hit the milestone, I hit the goal, but what is there more, and what can I achieve it? You know, those are my thoughts, my honest answer.
Yeah, but what was a time? Can you recall a time that you hit that goal or a big goal?
The bodybuilding competition, like that was a goal, you know, given the time crunch, and because it's health and fitness related.
That shit was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Let's bring it more recent.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to think
Yeah.
too.
No, I'm thinking.
Because I mean, honestly, this is one of those things too, where it's like, it makes you think and reflect. And not only do we reflect on like the big goals that, you know, we strived for and we hit, but also sometimes, like, even for us, like, we opened a business, we launched a franchise, and it felt big in the moment when we accomplished it, and now we're here, and it's like we're still doing everything we did before. Right. And then we opened up, you know, Tampa, and then that was awesome, you know, and then we opened up Dallas, and then it was awesome. But then again, a week goes by, and then all of a sudden you're back to where you were in terms of mentality, in terms of happiness, in terms of whatever. So it's like, I mean, I can tell you right now, for like me, it was essentially the Tampa, the Dallas, like each of them, right? It was like the build up, you get it, and then it's like awesome, you know, high five, you know, you try to touch my butt, and, you know, just kidding, do a little, you know, post game, good job.
You lying, coach.
But then it's like, all right, cool. Then you're on the hunt again, right? So I mean, what was one of those things? And you can't use the two examples I just gave right there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like here at the gym, like, you know, like at least like from our standpoint as a business owner, like when we set goals for the gym, for the team, you know, to hit certain numbers, you know, on a monthly basis or anything like that. Like we have hit the goal, you know, and it's like we reached the numbers that we want to reach and stuff. And it's like once we did, it's like, oh yeah, good job, pat on the back. It did feel like that though. It's like, you know, what now? I did also think like, okay, well, what's next? You know, like, can we increase like the, you know, can we set the bar a little higher? But that feeling I do get, and I can agree with that. Like, just like when you finally hit it, it's kind of like, yeah, you know what I mean? So,
no, definitely. So, I mean, while you guys decide to answer the question that is on the screen that we were just talking about, you know, let's just dive into understanding what the hedonic, you know, treadmill is, right? And the psychology, or the name of it, really, the treadmill part comes from essentially how a treadmill kind of inclines. You can decline it and so forth, but then always comes back to, whenever you get off of it, goes back to a flat line, right? It's always going to come back to flat, right? So our tendency for our happiness is it always returns back to that base level, right? That flat line of not homeostasis, but just like there's no oomph, there's no, you know, high anymore. One of the things I was thinking you were going to say was like, you got married. You know,
that was something that I was thinking of.
No, but no worries. Like I'll say it. You know, you got married. That shit's, you know, but it's like the buildup. You're engaged, and then, you know, you're doing all these things, and then you get married, and then, because I can speak from my own personal experience too. It's like you get married, and then it's like the next day, it's like there's a couple of days where you're like, oh, this is so cool, we're married, and then a week goes by, and you're like, and now you're just calling your wife, but everything else is the same. right? But in other words, we get used to new circumstances. We get used to achievements that we have. It just becomes, something that's a part of us that's surprisingly quick, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things is like, what this kind of means is even after a big success or a major life change, your happiness kind of spikes up, and then it often is just temporary, right? So how do we start to understand that concept so we can try to eliminate it or limit it if you're not able to fully, eliminate it? It's realizing, sometimes that there is a next peak, and finding what is your next peak, right? And always being on, I like to say the hunt, right, of the next goal. But how we've talked about, it's like there's always another level. The personal development, the entrepreneurship, all that kind of stuff, it's an infinite game, right? There is no end destination.
Right.
So just because you got the achievement, you got the success, it's like there's another level to try to achieve for and strive for and so forth.
Yeah. My take on that, on like, I guess like a tool that we can start to practice and at least like be mindful of is somewhat parallel to what you said, to the fact of Kobe Bryant had that saying that, what is that? The destination is not the dream. I think, you know what I'm talking about? He said something where the destination is not the dream. The journey along the way is the dream. But my point being, like the happiness aspect of it is when we build up an expectation or, that hype, right? And like you said, when you're chasing it, when you're hunting for it, it's like, oh yeah, it's going to feel so good. It's going to be like, fuck yeah. And then when you finally reach it and when you do attain that goal, it just, the feeling of euphoria isn't as like extreme as you would imagine it to be. And I think if we look at it in hindsight, the struggles and like the strength building obstacles that we faced along the way and the journey getting to the goal is actually what's gonna kind of provide that satisfaction feeling, and I think the happiness comes from you went through all these things, you did the work, you overcame all the problems, you solved the obstacles and stuff like that, and you get that feeling of like the accomplishment. And I think us thinking about and kind of understanding that whole process is that thing to be happy about, right? So that when you do set your next goal or your next milestone, something that it's not you're looking so much for that happiness that, oh yeah, I'm gonna get there. The happiness doesn't come from like the destination itself. It's like your road getting there.
Right.
And to me, at least, like as I was saying that, I was thinking, the times that I was happy and like that did bring me happiness was, the process. And I know it sounds cliche, but because like I guess like you can ask yourself like, what makes you happy? And everybody has their own answer, right? And like it could be feeling of fulfillment, being a contribution, providing service, like providing some kind of value to something else besides yourself. And I think I know, but to me, it's like knowing that I put in the work through something, but is what makes me happy,
right?
Or brings me that satisfaction.
And I think it's important to note that it's not just about essentially us doing work or just even goals. Like this can be applied to really anything in life. Like think about like a lottery winner, right? Someone wins the lottery, right? And when you purchase a ticket, you have high hopes and you're waiting for I don't even know what it's called, draw day or lottery picking day, and then all of a sudden, let's say you win, and then there's this huge high, and you're super ecstatic and everything like that, and then it starts to fade. It's like, okay, now you're having other happier moments because of that. You're buying a car, you're buying a house, you're buying this, you're buying that, but those are each individual moments. Why are you spending the money on those things? It's because it's giving you that high again. It's giving you that that effect that you got when you won the ticket. But then you get the car, and now you have the car for a week, and the car doesn't give you that anymore. And then you get something else, and that gives you the momentary, satisfaction and fills that void. But it's knowing that those little things are only temporary, and you have to find something that's going to fulfill that void or fulfill that drive per se long term, right? Even as like an entrepreneur, we had the startup phase, and we work day and night. And I mean, not to say that we don't do long hours now, because we definitely do, but the startup phase was definitely a different kind of aggressive, right? I mean, right now it's aggressive, but in a completely different sense, right? And so the time when we were going through that, it's like you're chasing it and you come out on the other side. We were able to hire trainers, and then you hit that level of, okay, cool, now it's not as bad. And then obviously then you strive to that next level. But I mean, even think about it in like fitness, right? Let's say a runner trains to break their record, right? Like you're about to do at the Spartan race. But then, you are training for it, like you've been running like crazy. And I know members can't wait to see you out there on the course.
I think I'm gonna be sick that day.
But then all of a sudden you break it, right? And then all of a sudden, for a short time, you're in this like glory phase, right? You're in this, I was going to say something else, but you're in this glory phase, and then all of a sudden it's like you broke the record. Cool. Are you going to be one of those highlight reel kind of people? Or, back in high school, it's like, bro, you're 40. Like that shit was 30 years ago, or 25 years ago. It's like, come on, next step. What's the next peak? What's your now moment, right? So why do you think that we adapt? Why do you think we adapt to new achievements? Why do you think that we adapt to those wins, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'm honestly like trying to break that thought process down. And I think it's because when you set a bar, like a goal or something you're trying to, a destination, it's like you're working towards it, and you're trying to get there. But then when you do get there, it's not that it becomes your new maintenance, but it's like I think that's just how we're fucking wired as like humans. You know what I mean? It's like once we get something, it's like to a sense, like we take it for granted, or it becomes, you become like numb to it. You know what I mean? Like, and like what you said, like about like the people, like the fitness aspect of it, like Olympians, like how it's like they train all their life, they devote all their time, literally, like everything that in their life revolves around that. But then, however successful they are when competing in the Olympics, it's like as soon as it's done, they have that what now, right? And I think the fact of us just kind of like having something when it's already in our grasp, we don't practice enough gratitude or appreciation, or another example, or analogy for maybe people can resonate with better is like a car. You save up for a car, and it's like you get this brand new car, first week or first month, it's like, hell yeah, you riding around getting it. Like you have your windows down, bumping music and stuff like that or whatever. And it's like, after a certain amount of time goes by, you just treat it like all your other cars, and the value may not be the same as it was like right when you first bought it. And I think that's just us as humans. Like we tend to like, again, like maybe take things for granted is one way I can put it. Or once we finally have it, we're looking for just that next thing that's gonna give us like that excitement,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like what you're saying, because I think it is true, right? From like a psychological and even like a biological standpoint, like as humans, we're wired to acclimate to changes, right? Working out, it's hard when you first come in, and then all of a sudden you start working out for a little bit of time, it gets easier. all of a sudden you tune up the workouts, make them a little harder, and they're harder for a time, but then your body acclimates to those difficult, workouts, and now they're not difficult anymore, right? But and I think that's just like from like almost like evolution, right? It's like we're wired to be thrilled for like the hunt, and then the hunt is over, and then your mind naturally sets on like the next goal, the next task, the next thing, right? But if you're not giving yourself that next thing, the feeling and the drive and the motivation all kind of be fleeting, right? But I mean, like from what I was researching, like some researchers kind of set it or call it like the happiness set point, right? And so it's almost like a thermostat, right? It gets cold, the AC or the heater kicks on, all of a sudden it gets too hot, the AC kicks on, and it kind of brings you back to the set point. So one of the things that we have to try to do is move our set point, right? Because it's always going to try to acclimate to it. Like, for example, let's go into like entrepreneurship, right? For us, for example, we're at two franchises, right? And so before, when we're at just us, that we were still happy that we were growing, our business. And then all of a sudden we got one, right? And it was super exciting, but then our expectations and everything kind of gets set at, we have a franchise, right? Now this is our new baseline. And then we get two, and all of a sudden it's like, oh dude, this is so cool. Blah, blah. And then it's like, boom, now our baseline is set here. So how do we adjust that set point without having to adjust necessarily like adding something else on? And I think what you said was really powerful in terms of gratitude. Sometimes just being grateful and taking a step back, even a moment just to realize the accomplishments, realize how far you've come, can kind of readjust that set point to appreciate each goal as it comes, and really, appreciate the journey. Because again, at the end of the day, I know for both of us, like that is one of the best parts. Like the thrill is in the journey. The destination is awesome, but the journey is like, you can see the progress. Like when you're looking at a progress bar, you see it moving up, and you're like, oh, we're almost there. And so like knowing that progress bar should never end, essentially. It should always just almost get there, and then it just loads a little bit longer, and you keep getting closer, and it loads a little longer. That's why I kind of think that you should kind of view your set points at, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think maybe another, like a side tool or whatever mindset is the fact of, it goes with the appreciation, is appreciating like the milestones and the goals that we achieve. For one, especially when it comes to fitness, like when you do achieve certain things, that you have to still put in the work, and you have to keep applying the habits and the routines and the knowledge that you have, that you've gained, right? And the work that you've put in, because it's something where if you stop appreciating it and you stop giving the same attention and effort and stuff like that, just like you got something, it can be taken away, So I think that's another, I guess, like way to measure ourselves, or at least check ourselves to our mindset, at least to be more grateful for the things that we do achieve, and understand that not necessarily, kind of being, what is it called? Not being content with where you're at, because that's a completely separate thing. Because again, being content is like you're not aiming for more anymore, or aiming for more growth and progress, but just being grateful and keep applying, the work that you've done, and it kind of is there more in the current goal that you set? Is there ways to branch out, you know what I mean, or make even more off of the certain thing that you've achieved already,
Right.
Because there's not just one way to get to a goal, but there's not just one. Yeah. I was like, in my head that worked out well.
You know how to reset our attention goal? Hit these Yelp smelling salts real quick. Your boy.
People are just out there just probably like,
I got you. Don't worry. I'm not crying. You're crying.
oh yeah, that's good. that there's not just one way that there's not just one way to get to your goal or achieve where you're trying to get to, but your goal too, it doesn't mean that one specific thing is limited to that one little avenue. You know what I mean? Like your goal can have many levels to it. There could be many tiers to your goal, and appreciating your journey there can also mean expanding the levels of your goal,
So I think let's dive into like some signs that you may be on the hedonic treadmill, right? How do you know if you are caught up on this and this belt of it, right? And I think it really comes from you're caught on this treadmill of never-ending desires, essentially. And some of the clear signs might be that you don't feel or rarely feel a sense of satisfaction, right? You achieve your goal and it's like, okay, cool. It's like that's it, right? Mm-hmm. Even after accomplishing your goals, it's just not, it doesn't really do anything for you, mm-hmm. right? Like let's say you do achieve something great and then almost immediately you just think, well, what's next, right? Without even taking time to enjoy it, to have gratitude for it. And I think that another sign can really be that, you once dreamed about the things that now you take for granted, mm-hmm. right? For example, you had past goals that maybe you met and no longer really excite you at all, and they've just become your new norm, right? And so if you notice that you keep raising your standards and you keep raising what it means to be happy or be successful, and you tell yourself, I'll be content or I'll be happy when I reach X, but then you reach X and you now set your sights on Y, and you constantly really compare yourself essentially to someone else, or you compare yourself essentially to this future you. And it's like you can use that comparison essentially to fuel you or motivate you, but it shouldn't be something that's bringing down your joy, your gratitude, your happiness, or anything like that, right? So if you start recognizing that, I mean, it's crucial. This is where the things that we've talked about, reflection and analyze your day and all those kind of things really come into play, mm-hmm. right?
And there's a question I do want to ask for the listeners.
Hit them with it.
So let us know in the comments. This is a fitness related one. Have you ever reached a personal best? Maybe you were trying to, weight loss goal or a strength personal record and found that the thrill faded quickly. How did you deal with that?
Say it one more time.
I'm gonna run it back. So this is a fitness question. Have you ever reached a personal best? Maybe you're trying to lose a certain weight or a strength personal record and found that the thrill quickly faded once you did reach that. And how did you deal with that?
Put it in the comments. It is now on the screen. And so how did you deal with it?
Okay, fitness one. Well, I mean, it was 3 years ago, but I'll go back to my other answer.
That's why I threw it back to you.
Like that bodybuilding competition, right? Mm-hmm. Given the task at hand, it was a short time frame and the required work that was necessary, that which you very clearly stated, right? It was hard, and kind of that built up and that hype of like, damn, all right, I'm doing all this work. I'm like, seemed like suffering in the moment, but when you finally, it's like when I get to that stage, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be this, that, this. And then when it finally happened, as soon as it's like, I was done and I was like, damn, I was just like, now what? I was like, what the hell do I do? I did think like, okay, I should do another one. Like when's my next competition? Or like, what are the things that I need to, what are the things I need to work on? Is there certain body parts that I need to gain more muscle on, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, but the thought of like that hype was like, it immediately faded, So, and how I dealt with that, I set new goals, and I'm not gonna lie, I did appreciate and I was thankful that I was able to do it. And I was able to accomplish that task of, that short time frame and being able to step up on stage and stuff. And I was grateful. But honestly, it was something that was hard to deal with because the fact of, now I'm not prepping for something, and I already did the task. It's like, there was like that, like what we said, like that hole, like I didn't know what to do with myself as far as like fitness wise in that moment,
Right.
you know?
And I think that's actually an important part I wanted to talk about too, is almost like this achievement hangover you get, right? Or like almost like post goal like blues you get. Like there's just a feeling, like you said, you just don't know what to do. It's like you did it, you climbed the mountain, you got to the top, and you're just like, damn, where do I go from here? Right? And so sometimes you don't know what to do, or the excitement of what you're doing. Like let's say, for example, a lot of people are getting excited about the Spartan race. It's like you get all excited for the Spartan race, and then you do the Spartan race, and then it's like, oh, now what? You know? So it's like, what are some of those things that we can do to like really get over those like unexpected lows that may come from, like, even for us, like opening another franchise. It goes up, it goes down. It's like you try to set your sights on a new goal so you can keep working, but don't stay in the, I wouldn't say gratitude phase, but don't stay in the celebration phase too long, right? Because that there's a window for that, and the longer you stay in that window, the worse the blues get, because now you're just celebrating something that you know is over, right? It's like, for example, you know, you got married, and it's like you celebrate you got married, everything like that, but then it's like, okay, now what's next? Like we got to start building a life, right? Otherwise, if we just celebrate that we got married for the rest of our lives, that we're going to stay exactly where we are, right?
And damn, you made me lose my train of thought. But
that wasn't me.
Actually, because I do like this. Actually, there's another question that I do want to ask, but if you guys don't like the other question that I just asked, you can answer this one. What's one thing you do regularly to keep yourself grateful and grounded? I like this one because it goes off of like when we were talking about gratitude and appreciating like, you know, your wins and like the journey. So the question is, what's one thing you do regularly to keep yourself grateful and grounded? You know, maybe journaling, meditation, time with family, appreciating the wins and stuff like that. I'm gonna answer that question first. But like, what's something that I do regularly to keep myself grateful and grounded is the time with family. I would say time with family, and to be honest, like, because a lot of the goals that I set and the milestones that I try to achieve, I try to do it beyond me, you know, where it's like, how can it benefit the people that mean the most to me, not just myself. So when I do hit a certain milestone or anything like that, I try to, like you said, not bask in the celebration too long, but take a second to look around and observe and like appreciate like the positivity you brought to everyone else around you, or, you know, whatever it is. Like if it's like a business thing, like when you achieve something like the gym, it's like, what positive things did it bring to other people, you know, that it brought to someone else's life. Like if you helped someone, if your goal is to help other people and stuff like that, and you achieve that goal, and no matter how you did it, it's like taking a second and taking a moment to appreciate that and see like how it changed someone else's life for the better, right? And the things that how did it excel them? How did it help them progress? And what other positive things did it bring to them? And to me, that helps me keep me grounded and grateful for the things that I achieve.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, the time with family, I think is a big one, because especially like, you know, being an entrepreneur and doing this, we're doing it for our families, you know, and for others as well. But I think for me too, it's when someone asks like how things are going, and I tell them the genuine answer of, you know, oh, we just, you know, signed on a new franchisee in Texas, their excitement, even though my excitement has faded a little bit, their excitement, their like wow factor, it kind of grounds me and makes me feel grateful again for that accomplishment, because it's someone else not giving you recognition, but giving the accomplishment itself recognition, where something now that you feel is just a new norm, you can kind of get that grateful sense again, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, one of the things like that keeps me, grounded is that, right? So not doing it in a way to like boast or brag or anything like that. But when you tell someone like, how's Strive? Have you opened up a new location? I've done this. It's like, oh yeah, we just did this. And then all of a sudden they're super excited. It's like, wow. Like sometimes it gives you that, it's almost like you allow yourself to receive that compliment, receive that, gratitude for where you are again.
Mm-hmm.
But then in terms of being grateful and everything like that, the time spent with the family is the most humbling, because they don't really, it's not they don't care about the goals, but like you're not going to get too big for your family. So it's like the goals that you accomplish are awesome. They're happy for you and everything like that. But at the end of the day, when you spend time with them, it's just you spending time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again, that's one of those things where I like to have that time too, because it lets you put everything else that you're doing, your wins, your losses, all that stuff kind of on the back burner, and just be in the moment again. And then you get to be in the moment again of business or of fitness or whatever. So it's almost like you get to put on different lenses and not staying in the same lens, which can allow you to essentially feel like this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, something that's like, I guess like it could be related to, the pursuit, or like kind of like when you reach your goal or anything like that, the motivation aspect of it, like when you're chasing towards something, or when you're trying to achieve a goal, you're motivated to put in the work and to, do the necessary steps. But then when you get there and you find out, when you feel that, now what? Or like that plateau type of feeling where it's like, this is it, like what the hell? And we're not really showing appreciation or gratitude. That motivation factor kind of also declines, because then I guess decline in a way where it's like you're not as motivated to like, I guess, set another goal or reach another milestone, because then that feeling of like, okay, well, if this is how it feels, it's like, you're going to be holding yourself back from being able to set new standards, or at least even appreciate the moment, So I think that's where like the discipline comes into play, because when we're not as highly motivated, you can always rely on your discipline as far as like, and what I mean by discipline too is like understanding that all the work that's necessary to put in, you got to do that when you reach every milestone, not just a certain one, because then like when we go strictly based off of emotion and feeling, that's when you kind of set yourself up to not necessarily be disappointed, because when you reach a goal, you're going to be, you're going to be proud of yourself. But at the same time, for you to be able to keep excelling and growing and set a new goal, because then now you're relying on your current foundation, which is your norm, whatever you just reached, to reach new heights and new levels. So I think not always trying to rely on like the motivation aspect or like the emotional aspect of it too.
No, definitely. And I do want to take a second to give a shout out to Deco for throwing something in the comments based off your last question, right? Deco said, from the moment that I opened my eyes, I thank God that he gave me another day. I look at my family and they're healthy and alive. And for that, I am grateful. And I'm pretty sure that's prayer hands. Maybe that's high five. But no, I mean, it's true. Sometimes like just to be humbled, or just to be, kind of bring us back to essentially grateful, right? And grounded. It's like sometimes you just got to appreciate the small things, right? And again, like Deco said, just waking up and your family's good, they're healthy, nothing's going wrong, just that immediate thing. The first thing you can start your day off is with some gratitude right there, right? Because I think that's something that we all take for granted.
Mm-hmm. I like that word too, humble.
Humbled is actually there's been some like,
I thought you were about to say that Kendrick Lamar song, bitch, be humble.
No, like it's crazy. Hold on, I'm gonna look up the actual definition real quick. Put it on the screen. Just kidding. We don't have a tech guy. But if someone is looking for, interview, or what is it called?
Volunteer hours.
No, that's not volunteer. It's
intern hours.
Yeah, intern hours. Hit your boy up. Hit your other boy up. Hit us both up. Give you double hours. But But the definition, oh, damn it. So the definition, right? To having or showing a modest or a low estimate of one's own importance. That's what humble means.
Yeah.
So again, when people say be humble, or, you know, I'm humbled, you're basically showing a modest or a low estimate of your own importance.
Mm-hmm. Of your own importance.
Is that something you want to be? Now knowing the definition for what like, we don't use humble in that context, but like, that is the word of humble. I think we've kind of molded it. Like the other definition is a low social admin or political rank, right? Lower in dignity or lower in importance.
Yeah.
So knowing it that way, it's like you shouldn't be humble because you are important and you don't need to diminish your self-value, right? Mm-hmm. But in terms of being grounded, like, you know, I had someone on the podcast the other day and they brought that up and I was like, shit, because I used the word humble. And then they kind of threw that at me and they knew the definition off the top of their head. And I was like, all right, shut up. All right, you wordsmith, you know? But like, I just had to bring it up too, because it was crazy. Like actually looking at, and I actually looked it up. And then when they recited the definition back to me, like verbatim, I was like, all right, nerd.
They watch this episode.
But no, it's true though, right? I mean, we have to be grounded. We have to be present. We have to be grateful, right? And it doesn't always have to be for big wins. It doesn't always have to be for big accomplishments, right? Do you have a roof over your head? Be grateful for that. Do you have a car that, you know, do you have a car, right? Be grateful for that. And the more things you're grateful for, the more appreciative you are, the more things start to come around, right? Because sometimes we dwell on the little things that didn't work out, or the little obstacles that, you know, set us back. And now we kind of get in this mind frame of whether it's comparison or whether it's negativity. And now all the things that you should be grateful for, you're just ignoring, right? So I want to kind of dive into, you know, we say never give up, and we've talked about the never give up mindset, but what about the never enough mindset?
That's not our slogan.
No, right? But
yeah.
At the same time, I think that's important. And I mean, I'll let you start with it, just because, I mean, my brain's been going on about it for a minute, but I want to kind of get your initial thoughts of it too. Like, because I think this is not just in fitness and not just in business, but in life. I feel that there's a lot of people that have this, and honestly, we might even just do an episode on it now that I think of it, but like that never enough, whether it's your goals, you achieving your goals, whether it's you as a person, right? What is the dangers in that never enough mindset?
That's a deep one.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually wow. Like
we won't dive too much into it, but
yeah,
like I just thought about that, like because of being on having these highs and being on the hedonic treadmill and everything like that, and you do have these highs and everything like that, but are your highs being reset too quickly and almost diminished because you don't want others to feel, or you don't want others to see your happiness or see your joy because you don't feel enough?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep it in that context.
Okay. So I'm gonna start that off by that saying, or the things that we say that you know, like when you don't push yourself, when you when you don't maximize like your full potential and stuff like that, you're gonna, you don't give your best. It's like you're gonna just sit there and watch your life go by, or you're before you know it, I'm gonna try, and then before you know it, it's too late to try. In the same way too, all the way in the other end, side of the spectrum, it's like if you just don't ever stop pushing, or at least like take a second and actually not even like realize the things that you need to be grateful for. It's like, when is enough ever going to be enough? To the point where you're chasing so damn hard that it's like running after wind. It's like,
what'd you say?
It's like running after wind. It's like you're pursuing something that, you know, that like you're chasing something that keeps on moving and moving and moving so fast that it's like you're never going to catch it. And before you know it, and you weren't even grateful for it, that you just fucking left everything that actually mattered behind, you know, like you never appreciated, or you didn't appreciate enough your time with your family, like enjoy the fruits of your labor and stuff like that, to where, yeah, you were working towards something and you were like trying to be the best version of yourself. But it's like in that pursuit, it's like you never even get a chance to fucking appreciate yourself in that moment, or, you know, the person that you've become all from the beginning. You know, it's like you're trying to grow so much that between that time, all the progress you've made, you didn't even get a chance to appreciate it, or even just the people that are around you, or the things that matter to you. You didn't even get a fucking, they don't even reap any benefit from it. That's my like honest opinion on like, you know, never, what is it? Never enough.
Yeah. No, so I do gotta know. Did you hear that analogy somewhere? If not, that is fucking clever.
What?
The running after wind?
I just thought of it right
That's what I'm saying. Like that was fucking.
Oh, I thought you were just laughing because like, you know.
No, I was like, fuck, I like that one. That was a good one. That was in the Nick column right there for sure. Because when you said it, I was like, damn, like that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, that's a great analogy, right? That's why I laughed, because I was like, damn, that was cool. But I think that never enough mindset, like when I was thinking of it too, everything that you said, I agreed with. And like the one point I would add to everything that you said, because I mean, you covered majority of the things I was thinking of, minus the running after wind, is the fact that it comes from essentially comparison too, right? Mm-hmm. It comes from whether it's you just did your first 5K and someone else you know did a 10K, right? And you're like, damn, my goal or my accomplishment of 5K isn't enough to compare to their 10K. I'm not even gonna tell them I did it, right? My 10K isn't anything to their marathon. I'm not even gonna tell them I did a 10K, right? And so we can kind of stack our accomplishments, and there's always gonna be someone that's done more, right? And if you're the person at the top of the pyramid, there's someone that's trying to beat you too, right? So it's like, you can't use comparison, or you can't compare yourself and your journey and your accomplishments and your happiness to other people's accomplishments and goals.
Bro, like what you just said, it's so relatable. Obviously I'm not calling anybody out, but it is so relatable to the fitness aspect, especially in the gym, in our line of work. The conversations that I have with people, like they're making progress, and like, you know, for those of you that are listening, I hope this resonates with you, to appreciate yourself, appreciate your fucking wins. Because like, you know how many times I hear often, it's like they'll acknowledge that they made a progress and hit a milestone and hit a goal, and then the next sentence right after is a negative fact of like comparing something else, something else that someone did, or something that from the past that they did. It's like, dude, how do you, if you're gonna congratulate yourself and pat yourself on the back, like take a moment to enjoy that, you know, because it's whether appreciate that or you didn't make any progress at all. You know what I mean? Would you rather have made those progress, or you didn't make any progress at all and there's nothing to be grateful for?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, I think that if you're telling someone your accomplishment and then all of a sudden your sentence ends with a but, that's how you know you're on this treadmill, right? Yeah, I just did a 5K, but yeah, I want to do a 10K. That shouldn't, like, take out the but. I should have 5K and now I'm gonna start training. I'm gonna do a 10K. Right? That one removal of the word changes how you view your accomplishment, right? Because anything you said before but basically gets deleted, right? That's all. Now you've set that as a lower bar in your own mind of that not enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's so dangerous, because you know, it's not verbatim, but it's like oh my God, I just lost X amount of pounds. Oh my God, I just dropped this much amount of body fat. Oh my God, I fit into these clothes now that I didn't fit in before. But what happens after that? What are the actions that happens after that? Since you gave yourself, you didn't take the time to be grateful for your progress and your win, and you gave the last part of your sentence and what your brain registered was that you are not satisfied with something, you end up going back on the spectrum, and then you either fall off or you stop putting in the work. I'm serious because it happens here all the time, you know.
What spectrum?
Yeah, exactly. And then
Said what spectrum?
Spectrum Mobile. And it's like you end up kind of shooting yourself in the foot or in, in the knee, actually, because it's like then the next thing you do is you stop putting in the work because you're discouraged. But you shouldn't have been discouraged in the first place because you were already making strides forward, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like having that mental awareness to appreciate the wins. If you fit in something, like if you lost some weight, you dropped some body fat, and you know you fit into clothes that you didn't fit in before, fucking celebrate that.
Yeah.
You better wear the shit out of those clothes that you haven't fit in before, and you better walk out with that chip, with that big ass smile and the chip on your shoulder, right? And of course there's many levels to it where your mind should be also with enough time where it's like, okay, what other new clothes, that are less in size or whatever, am I gonna shoot for? Is my next goal? But be grateful that you achieved something. You better wear the fuck out of that jacket, out of that shirt, out of those jeans. Like, oh my God, like I fit in these jeans. I didn't fit in them before. Be happy about it. You know what I mean? Bask in the ambiance. And then give it enough time. When you start to feel like, it's time to set a new goal, then that's when you do it,
Oh, definitely. I mean, you got to realize almost like you have to set not just, to what you're saying too, like, I want to fit into, and this is a conversation I had recently, is that I want to be the size I was before I got pregnant, right? And it wasn't Gabby, right? Another one of my clients, and mind you, she just had 2 kids, right? And at the time she had 2 kids. And so she was like, I want to be back. And I was like, you're comparing yourself with a person that's never had kids. Your body is not the same. Your bone structure is not the same, right? And I'm not saying that you can't get back there, but why are you comparing yourself to someone that's completely different?
Damn.
Right? And so even then it's like, I used to weigh this back in high school. It's like, bitch, are you in high school now? No? Then okay, then let's focus on the now, right? You didn't have 80 pounds of muscle in high school either, right? So like a lot of people nitpick one area to compare themselves to, whether it's themselves at a different point in time or to someone else, and they're nitpicking one thing, and there's so many other X factors that you don't realize, or you may not realize, that is only setting you up for disappointment. Not saying you can't achieve that, but you comparing yourself to them and where you're at, it's just not logical, because their days are different, their lives are different, their interactions are different, all those things, right? Focus on you, focus on your goals. You should be setting intrinsic and extrinsic goals. What I mean by that is essentially, you want to lose 10 pounds, right? Not you, maybe you. I'm just kidding.
Bro, if I lose 10 pounds, I'm gonna disappear.
No, I was kidding. Yeah, right. I'm trying to get your ass to eat, but let's say you want to lose 10 pounds, right? That's your extrinsic goal, right? Losing 10 pounds. But what is losing 10 pounds going to do for you intrinsically, And so you're setting a inside and outside goal for every goal, right? And so when you achieve that goal, the extrinsic tends to fade fairly quick, but now you get to not relive, but revisit why you wanted to achieve that, right? For example, tying it to us, like we wanted to franchise, we wanted to, so each location is an extrinsic goal, but intrinsically, we wanted to serve more people, and now we are, and that doesn't fade, right? So now all of a sudden you get to bring your level of happiness back up, knowing and realizing you've accomplished it. You might not be at your end destination in your head. It's instead of saying, but it's, look, I'm here, I'm going to keep doing this because not only am I hitting extrinsic goals, but it's going to continuously grow my intrinsic goal or feeling or satisfaction. That makes sense, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's one of those things where continuous growth is a great thing, and not having complacency, because we talk about this, infinite line, but realizing that you have to have this sense of gratitude with it. And it comes from being able to reflect and know what is your reason why you're achieving it. You want to lose 10 pounds because you want to look better, but what is that going to do for your life? What is that going to do for you mentally, for, you emotionally? You accomplished it. Now you're like, but I want 5 more. It's like, but are you happier than you were 10 pounds ago?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel healthier? Do you feel like you can move around a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. Be grateful for that, right? You may not be at your, pre-pregnancy weight or your, college days weight, but are you better than you were then? Better when you started this journey to get where you are right now? Then why aren't you grateful for that? Right? Because you're better than you were a month ago, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could have been worse than you are, or you could have been the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, give yourself the flowers.
That literally hit it right on the nail, to be honest. Like, be aware and be you right now. Don't be you back then. So I mean, bro, that was on point.
I think that, in terms of like what we're talking about too, it goes into, trying to create habits or create goals or things that can be sustainable in terms of happiness, right? And kind of tying it to what you're saying with, the members that are talking about, but, I want to lose this, or but I want to lose it. It's like you're creating habits now that you're not going to stop, that is going to continue to give you that joy, that happiness, that, feeling that you are improving, right? Every workout you leave, you feel happier after the workout's done. Mm-hmm. You don't usually feel happy before the workout. You're like, ah, damn, I got to do this in a workout right now. But afterwards, you're like, damn, I feel good. So realize that you should be trying to create things that are sustainable in terms of happiness, not these, quick fixes. You basically starved yourself. You lost 3 pounds. It's like, that's not a habit. You can't sustain that, right? What is a habit that you can? Working out consistently, eating right. These are all habits that you can maintain, right?
Yeah. And like with just that specific example, because it's like when you do a crash diet and everything, it's not sustainable. And then when you finally can't sustain it, you're going to go back the other way. You're going to go back, or maybe even worse than where you were. And now you feel like complete shit. And now it's going to be even, I don't want to say completely harder, but now it's like, why set yourself up? Why set yourself up to, for disappointment when you set a goal? One, set smart goals, right? And set smart, attainable goals. And the way you take your steps forward and progress towards your goal should also be very mindful too. So, that way, when you do achieve it, it's not something that's going to cause more disappointment.
Yeah. But I mean, we hope you guys got some takeaways, got some strategies, and maybe even some realizations, and to see if you're on this hedonic, treadmill, because I think that we all are at some point in our life, or even if we are able to get off of it, sometimes things happen, we start comparing ourselves, or we start, not appreciating and almost having that, not enough mindset, even if it's in a phase, right? So hopefully this gives you guys some strategies and give you guys some realizations to help you get off of that treadmill and just being more grateful and more grounded, right? Not humble, because we don't want you guys to be lower and have a lower view of yourself and self-worth, but, be more grounded, be more grateful, and just know that we're here. If you guys ever need anything, be more active than you guys are in the comments. Say that. Send us messages. We're more than happy to, answer anything you guys have. Throw it into the Facebook group. Any questions, any topics, anything like that. More than happy to dive in as well. And make sure you guys, even join the Instagram community. I would say that's one of the biggest things. we've been trying to post, daily, either daily quotes, daily tips and strategies, and majority of the time, a combination of at least 2 to 3 of them, right? So there's usually a tip in there, there's usually a quote in there, and there's usually a tool or strategy that you can utilize for the day. So make sure you guys do that. You can also share the Instagram channel with others so that they can help it, because if you help other people level up as a byproduct, you're going to help yourself level up, right? You are the people that you hang out with. You are the people that you talk with. The 5 people that you spend time with, you are that 6th person, right? So just realize we're here for you guys. We appreciate you guys. We love y'all, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Cause in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be